BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed, ahoy hoy. Welcome to episode 552 of BRB UK. It's quite a satisfying number to say that. 552.
Just 552.
In a slightly club style from me there. It's BRB UK. I'm Dan, one of your hosts. Hello, good to see ya. I'm joined this week by Tim. Say hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
But we are not joined by Coleman, for he is off to see the Barbie movie.
We don't know if that's true. We're just...
He's off to see the Barbie movie. He's off to see the Barbie. He loves Barbie so much.
Not as much as he loves Ken,
He loves Barbie.
Does love Barbie.
He refashioned his man area into a smooth mound to be more like Ken. That's how much he loves Barbie.
Just sanded the whole thing off.
Yeah, that's everything off. Like it's like I don't quite know how to describe it without talking too much detail.
But that's
about
why he wears Hawaiian shirts
and shiny
as well.
His head is
just
that.
You know, after Ken's
Exactly.
stylings. He wears a lot of neon off camera as well.
Yeah, after a short-lived attempt to be Mr. Hawaiian Tropic, he decided that he had to just lean into, and that's why he shaves his head. He's actually wanting to be Ken, and kind of like the kind of sit-on hairdo that you have to have for being Ken is only possible if you've got a shaved head, a massive baldy head. So that's where Coleman is this week. He is cosplaying as Ken while sat in the front row of the Odeon Leicester Square.
See, when you're away,
I'm glad we cleared that
and
up.
we make a jokey reason for why you're away, you can't get revenge on us. When Coleman's away and he's still editing,
it's all right.
This could be a problem. All I'm saying is, I love you more than Dan does, future Coleman. Please punish Dan, not me. Okay?
Dan, are you in for a beating?
Nah, Tim's just afraid of the chaos. I embrace the chaos. Come at me, Chaos Coleman. Do your worst. Please stop it, Master. No. Yes. Wow. It's been a week. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
I'll try not to go into Dan's middle-aged adventures, but man, mortgages are the best. And that's all I'm going to say.
Also, emergency plumbers at 12 o'clock on a Saturday night are expensive. Who knew?
Exactly. Nothing to do with Coleman's smooth area, that though.
Nope.
I would hasten to add.
That requires entirely different emergency services.
If he overdid the planing of his area, he might need some emergency plumbing doing. That's all I would say.
Yeah.
So I hope you're all right, Coleman. Hope you're all right, buddy. So it's been a week-ish of video games. I feel like we're getting into a bit of a summer lull ahead of craziness kicking off a little bit later in the month of August. So we've just been playing a little bit of mop-up, really, about stuff we've been playing. I just have been, like Coleman, I'm getting absolutely beasted by having to adult at the moment. So my gaming's largely been limited to some mobile games. But I have got a strategy game to talk about in the next week or two, which I'm quite looking forward to. So I'm just gonna sprinkle that little bit of mystery right there.
All right.
But I shall be reporting back on that fairly soon. But I've been kind of enjoying what kind of two remakes, really, I suppose. Tim, you like your card games.
I do.
You do like your card games? I'm assuming you've heard of Slay the Spire.
Yes, it's one I haven't actually played myself yet, but from what I've heard, I think I would like it. Do you think that to be the case?
I think it would make you very happy indeed.
Ooh.
And if you want to make you very happy indeed, it's just been released on mobile. It's out on... I played it on iOS, unsurprisingly, for I love selling Tim Cook my data. And by selling him his data, I mean I pay him for the privilege of using my data, because that's how it works.
Yeah.
Yep, you know, as all good data sources are, that's what I do. But Slay the Spire is a game that originally came out, I think, in 2019 on PC, now out on iOS via Apple Arcade.
Right.
And also on Android for about, probably $10 or probably about £8. I'm guessing. I don't have an Android thing, so I don't know. I'm not down with the kids. But it's all about kind of it's kind of like a roguelike game where you are kind of ascending a tower, a spire, if you will, through a series of randomized encounters. And you start off with one of 4 characters. Well, you one initially, but you unlock another 3, each of whom have their own kind of unique decks, which you can start unlocking cards from on each run. I'm not going to review it in too much depth because, it's been out for quite some time, but it's a game I very much enjoyed on PC. I mean, its art style is unique, and by unique, I mean it could possibly be a little bit more polished, but I think it's some of its charm in some ways. But it's a very solid kind of roguelike deck building game where it's kind of the benefits and the shortcomings of each build are fairly well matched. You've really got to think about what kind of choices and card combos you want to build out as you unlock more in each run. And kind of the enemies you encounter are very, very, very different, with lots of buffs that you need to understand and lots of debuffs to you. So you've got to really think 2 or 3 steps ahead. It's a corking little game, and it suits mobile really well by and large. However, the one thing I would say is that it is a very slavish, perhaps to a fault, port of the PC version. So I don't know what the Android UI is like, but on an iPhone, you've got to swipe up from the bottom to get back home these days.
Never swipe up from the bottom.
You've got to swipe up from the bottom. You've got to swipe up indeed, which is contrary to all good personal hygiene advice. Although actually, just as long as you're going kind of front to back, you're probably all right.
Yeah.
Front to back.
It does say that.
Never
I
back to
noticed
front,
that
front
on
to
the
back,
instructions of toilet rolls, it does actually say front to back.
Whoa.
Read that
Okay.
the other day.
Sorry. Interruption.
Not the other day, but maybe 6 months
interruption
ago.
to regularly scheduled programming. I have never come across toilet roll that has instructions on how to wipe your backside.
Well, I assume you use Andrix in your household.
I need to know more, Tim. Where are you buying your toilet roll? What you haven't
done is not read the back of your toilet roll, because Andrix all have that on the back of them these days. I know. I hadn't read it. I read it about 6 months ago.
I'm not fancy enough to have had. I have Ocado's own brand. Is what I have.
All right. Well, maybe
I
am
have these fancy. I don't wipe my bum with puppies. You absolute monster!
I mean, it's good.
You monster!
The fur's
Tim.
Nice. Get to stroke a puppy beforehand. Don't stroke it afterwards. That's bad. That's my other piece of advice on toilet rolls.
No, or at least stroke the belly.
Yeah.
Remember which side of it you used.
Exactly. Always remember which side of the puppy you've used.
Back. Front to back, front to back, front to back. I'm going to have to. What I'm going to be doing this weekend is trying to find a pack of Andrex and start reading it in the middle of the supermarket like some kind of idiot. Because you've assured me there are instructions, and this just blows my mind. I mean, Tim, do the instructions go to the level just use the paper that's pale? Don't try and use the hard in a bit, because that will hurt.
I don't think it goes into that much detail.
Have you just kind of pushed on through? So it doesn't defend against people trying to actually wipe their bum.
It's one
with
of those
the
things
roll
in life.
in
You
the
don't
middle.
always read things around you.
Right.
I noticed there were instructions on them. I was like, what? And so I read the instructions. And I said, it wasn't that long ago, maybe even more than 6 months ago, but it just stuck in my mind for some reason. But there you go. Speaking of which, while I've interrupted you, I have checked, and the Android version is $8.99. The only other caveat that I'll add to that is the first 3 reviews, and obviously other reviews may vary, but the first 3 reviews all say it's a fantastic game, but a terrible version of it, because on Android it apparently crashes if you get interrupted while playing the game. So that's not...
Well, I haven't had that experience on iOS. I have to say, being able to pause, resume, take calls during it.
Okay. So
all kinds of stuff.
Hopefully that's something that will be patched out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, though, I think the slavish nature of the port means that kind of like phone gestures can slightly mess up what you're doing. My phone's got confused whether or not I'm trying to draw a card or just return to the home screen, for example.
Right, okay.
And some of the text is exceptionally small, and kind of the UI elements haven't really been optimized for a phone. I mean, it's still a corking game, and especially if you're signed up to Apple Arcade, it's well worth some of your time. If you've never played it, it's well worth checking out.
but in mobile games, I think that's quite handy when you've got gesture controls that aren't always accurate. If you have an undo button, then it's less of a problem. But that doesn't always lend itself well to games that have been designed for other systems. And as you say, if they're being slavish to that design, that can cause problems. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a really satisfying blend of like deck building, dungeon crawlers, roguelikes, kind of loot games. It's a really, really fun game that, because of the pool of cards you can pull from is so large, generally each playthrough does feel like you have to deal with the hand that you're dealt. But it's a great game. I thoroughly recommend checking it out. Like I said, I've played it on PC before. It worked. It was a really nice fit for the Steam Deck, and actually, the being able to pause it and come back to it was a very nice thing about the Steam Deck version, which, in certainly my experience on iOS, has been replicated. I think it's well worth checking out. I mean, £8, 9 might be a bit steep, but it's still a great game. It's still a great. If you can get over the kind of the mental block of like, oh my god, it's on a mobile. How can any game on a mobile be worth £9? If you can get over that, it's well worth checking out.
From what you said, and I'm guessing I know which way you'd probably go, but from what you said and from what we've just heard about the Android version, if I had the option of the Switch version, which I do, I guess that might be the better one to go for if the Android one's still not working well.
Yeah, although I think it's Nintendo pricing,
right?
£20,
so the Nintendo tax
is what it costs on Switch.
Right. So look for it on sale.
Nintendo tax. Yeah, pretty much. It's been out for a long while.
So it might be a bit
Switch,
cheaper
though.
on Switch.
It's been out since 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, but check it out. Good fun game. Really nice little fit for mobile. And the only other thing I've been playing, which is also on my mobile, again on Apple Arcade, was, do you remember Vlambeer's Ridiculous Fishing?
Do I?
Yes, you?
I do. I interviewed
I'm guessing
Rami
not.
Sometime after it came out, but yeah.
So they've just done a re-release of that. Ooh. It's basically shiny. It's exactly the same game, but seems to eat your phone battery at about 15 times the rate it previously did. I would probably just get the original Ridiculous Fishing, is what I would do. It's still a great game, still really fun. Yeah, it's 10 years. It's 10 years old now, though.
Okay,
it's quite crazy, but it's still a corking little game. So that's been fun. Yeah, been really getting into my mobile gaming, probably because I'm spending too much time at work and toilet stops are my game time as well.
Yeah, I don't really speak about it on the show, but I spend a lot of time playing
front to back,
playing Marvel's
front to back.
I spend a lot of time playing Marvel Snap still, basically. So I'm still on that.
Man, that game's going to give you piles. Seriously,
that game's great, but it really is. Still continued to be good.
We've
spoken about it a couple of times on the show, but I'm still playing it and enjoying it without spending money. I still feel if their prices were a bit more reasonable, I'd be more tempted to actually give them some money for it. But hey. Yeah, as you say, I've been mopping up a few other things this week as well. While we're doing handheldy type things, I'll do the last thing on my list first, because why not? But yeah,
because Tim Hibbs.
Yeah, because I could have spoken about it last week, but I'd only tried the 100cc version, and I've now tried the 150cc, although I have not yet tried.
That's 50 more CCs.
But as you may have guessed from all the CC talk, I am talking about the latest Mario Kart DLC, Wave 5. We got 3 new characters, 8 new tracks in 2 new cups. The characters, Kamek, who's the little kind of wizard for Bowser's. Bowser's wizard, but that makes it sound like it's something sexual or something. But
I wasn't going there, but thanks, Tim.
Yeah, okay. I don't think he's a Koopa wizard, but he kind of looks like member of the Cooper army type thing or whatever he is, but he's a wizard on that side of things. There's P.T. Piranha, who's a big, like the big Venus flytrap looking piranha plants from Mario, who's driving now, who looks quite cool. And there's Wiggler, who's the big centipede, millipede type dude that you've seen in other games. I'm not sure where he came from.
Or is he centipede
Mario
or millipede?
Games.
There's
I don't
a whole
know.
order of magnitude difference.
I don't think he has enough legs to qualify as either, but who am I to judge millipedes, centipedes,
well, these
or
are
other
important
pedes?
facts, Tim.
Exactly. So
could he just be a decipede?
He could be a decipede.
Is he a decipede?
That sounds
Does he
like
only have
I
10
think
legs?
he's a
He
right
could be a
decipede,
decipede.
though. So, like,
A right decipede.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha. Is that Wiggler? Tell you what, I'm gonna fact check this on air. I'm gonna come up with the correct name for him. Because I'm sure you're about to embark on something vaguely tedious. So
Vaguely tedious, yes. Although I could sum this up quite quickly. In the 8 new tracks are absolutely fine. They're okay. They're all
Octopede.
decent. He's an octopede. Well, there we go. We all educated
I make it
today.
where he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 octopede.
Is that just you counting, though?
So-
That's not official Nintendo thing.
No, I've got a genuine bloody picture of him. Oh, yeah, no, genuine bloody picture of him here from Super Mario. The manual of Super Mario World tells me he has 8 legs,
Is an
therefore
octopede
octopede.
a real thing? I don't know that is. I don't know you can get
bloody-
millipedes or
God damn it.
centipedes with less legs. I don't know how that works, Dan. I'm not a biology person. The one thing I do know how it works is some of these tracks. So we've got the Feather Cup, which includes the Tour Athens Drift, which is one of the ones from World Tour. Decent, fun. Again, with all the tour tracks, it changes every lap, which is quite cool. I'd actually like to see them implement that to some of the older tracks. I wonder if they'll do that in the next Mario Kart, whether that's something that will be able to change the next tracks. Maybe that's an addition that we'll see being implemented across the normal tracks, in inverted commas, going forward. There's Daisy Cruiser, which comes back from the GameCube. Again, fine. I quite like that one, but it's not the world's most interesting track. There's Moonview Highway from the Wii, which is possibly the most boring of the motorway courses with traffic. But again, it's okay. It's just not great.
Right.
Squeaky Clean Sprint is the only entirely new track. And it's weirdly got a big toilet in it. It's like almost like Micro Machines racing through a
Front to
bathroom
back, Tim.
level.
Front to back.
Front to back, Dan. Front to back. Always.
Front to back.
No matter how many
Always
legs you
front to
have,
back.
always front to back. But
I mean, it's a long journey.
Yeah.
It is a long journey. If you've got many, I mean, I don't think though that the undercarriage apparatus starts between pair of legs 1 and goes all the way through to
Have
pair
you
of
checked,
legs
Dan?
number 4.
Have
if
you
you're
checked?
an octopede, I haven't. Also, Wiggler, totally fictitious beastie.
I'm aware of this, Dan. That's why I was wondering what Nintendo's official stance is on what he is. I mean, as long as he's happy,
Well,
that's
I'll have
all
you
I'm
know,
about.
actually, that there's also a variant. There's a variant of Wiggler, the giant Wiggler from Super Mario, has
Right.
14 legs, which makes him, you ready, strap in for this,
Right.
a quattuorapede. A quattuorapede.
You're a quadrupede.
Quattuorapede. You're a quattuorapede. I mean, imagine how long it's going to take him to go from front to back.
Yeah,
Seriously, he'd be
very
there
long.
all day.
Go front to back.
And to add challenge to it, those are only legs. He's got no arms. He can't even grab hold of anything.
Really tiny arms. How do you go front?
He can't do it. He can't even go front to back, even if he wanted to.
I reckon he just
God,
wipes it on
nature's
a
cruel.
leaf. Just drags himself across a
You
leaf.
reckon?
I reckon that's
He
how
just
he does
kind
it.
of go belly flops.
Yeah.
Is what he does. Just gets a bit of speed up and just belly flops on the ground.
Yeah,
There
that's
we
how he
go.
does
All
it.
right.
Going through the other
Video
cup is the
games.
Cherry Cup. There's another one from World Tour, Los Angeles Laps. Again,
Okay.
fine. I quite like the fact that it changes through different laps. There's a nice bit where you go through a baseball stadium for reasons. But yeah, right, it's quite a fun track.
Is it America, mate?
Because America, basically, yeah. They
America.
love their baseball. And
love it.
there's Sunset Wilds from the GBA, the Cooper Cape from the Wii, and both of them, and the reason why I think a lot of these sets of 8 tracks are generally just okay, is partly because I think they're getting to the point where they're scraping the barrel. I'm hoping that this being the second to last one, they're saving some really good gems for the last set. And I think this is the one where they've really had to scrape the barrel to find other tracks because they're not returning fan favorites or ones that people have been screaming out for and stuff. So I think this I'm hoping this is the low point of things, and it being okay is fine, and that's all right. The last one of the lot is also from World Tour and Vancouver Velocity. And again, it's fine. Not brilliant. It's okay. I don't remember anything particularly Canadian about it, but hey.
So how many tracks is Mario Kart 8 now up to? It's got to be some ridiculous number.
Yeah, did they have? I think they had 8 sets of 4 tracks to start with, and they're adding another 6 sets of 8 tracks. Is that right? Right. There was 8. Right. There's been 8 in every DLC release. So there's 5 lots of 8, and I think it'd be 6 lots of 8 altogether. Right. Then there must have been the same amount to start with, I think. Maybe 6 lots of 8 times 2.
Wow. That's pretty bonkers. So I think in the end they're going for 48 new tracks. And how many tracks were there in the original version?
I think 48 to start with as well, I think.
So that is a large number.
Yes.
Do bear with me, because I might have some facts.
Yeah. 48 plus 48. Is that
how many was it? 64. 64. So we've gone 48 times 48 twice.
Yeah.
That's
96.
like 96.
Yeah.
96. 96.
That sounds about
96.
But as I said at the start, fine.
That would be
it's okay.
Non-agenta sexpede if it was a beastie. Non-agenta sexpede. Non-agenta sexpede. No arms still, so still a very challenging front to back situation.
Okay.
Honest.
That's good.
Non-agenta sexpede.
I'll leave you with that while I go front to back on my list of things as well. I also spoke about it a bit more last week, but I did manage to finish off Viewfinder. I was correct in my assumption that I was on the last level. What I didn't know is literally the next run, because I left it running on my PS5 so that it just booted straight back up when I came back to it. And the very next run that I did, it was like, would you like to remove the time limit? Which was my only complaint about the last level. And because I was picking it up again a few days after I'd been to it, I was like, you know what? I am going to disable this time limit, just get through it. And it took me... I got interrupted and there was a phone call and a text message here and there, but it took me about 20 minutes to do the level that you had 5 minutes to get through before. I probably could have done it a little bit faster than that. But also, I got to the exact same point I'd got to before in 5 minutes and failed like the one puzzle. And that was the last puzzle. Literally, as soon as I did that, the level ended. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should have saved off from actually doing it and relearned the level and gone through it. But yeah, still fantastic little game. The one thing that I didn't really mention, there's 2 things I didn't really mention last week. One, that the overarching story is a bit on the weak side. It feels like the weakest element of an overall like really strong package. And it's slightly let down by that. It's enough of an interesting to thread you through it, but it feels a bit like basically you're chasing a machine to control the weather to help with like the climate crisis, which seems to have absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the game and the setup. And I was hoping the payoff might kind of bring that all together and tie a bow on it a bit more. And I don't think it really did. The other thing I forgot to mention though is you've got a little sort of companion creature that kind of goes along with the story, and he's a little bit of and probably deliberately this way, a little bit Cheshire Cat and a little bit Schrodinger's cat.
Right.
Because he's kind of like in the actual physical model of him, he's kind of there and not there at the same time. And yeah, but looks a bit Cheshire Cat-like in his sort of big grin and stuff like that. But also, and this is the reason I'm particularly mentioning him, whenever you go up to him, you get the option to pet him, as they often do in games these days. But it's got one of the best things, and just the little purr comes out of your PS5 controller, and it vibrates really nicely. That kind of to the point where every single time I had an opportunity to pet him, I did. And I don't just mean like when I first found him in a new area, I'd go and pet him. It'd be like, okay, I'm not sure what to do in this level. I'll just go pet the cat while I'm thinking. so it gets extra marks for that. And that sounds really silly, but if you played the game, I'm sure you will agree with me. Or if not, you have no heart and I hate you as a person. But, hey.
Okay.
Not really, but you know what I mean. But yeah, as I said, in summary from last week as well, it's a really good game, really good puzzle game where you're finding your way around with a camera that can help change your perspective. But yeah, definitely worth checking out if you like puzzle games. Viewfinder available on all good systems and some bad ones right now. The other thing I'll sum up very quickly, just because it's what else I've been playing this week. I did play a bit of PSVR 2. I'll hopefully get a chance to talk about it.
Okay.
But Kev has still struggled to find some time to edit, so we still haven't got the podcast we recorded before last week.
Maybe you should consider speaking a lot less.
Yeah, maybe I need to modify how much I talk, and maybe if we increase the frequency of when we talk, we can limit the episode so it's easier for Kev to find time in the week to do it. I'm going to kind of suggest that we possibly do that going forward, so I'll see how we do. Or, I could learn to edit myself and then, not rely on other people and not rely on other people being nice enough to edit. I think that would be a wonderful
intervention to make you talk less.
Exactly. I might learn my lessons. But yeah, just in quick summary, because I don't know how long it'll be to talk about it, and I'll probably have other things to talk about by the time me and Kev reconvene. I picked up Moss Book 1 and 2 because they're on sale. I highly recommend both of them. Moss Book 1 was one of my favorite games on PSVR. I didn't pick up Book 2 because it came out while I wasn't really using my headset as much, just because I had it packed away and stuff. But absolutely love Moss Book 2. I've jumped straight into Book 2 because I remember Book 1 fairly well. So I've jumped into that. It does do a little summary of the story as well, so you could just jump into Book 2, but I recommend them picking up both as a group, and that's why I'm mentioning it at the moment, because they're both on sale at the moment, and you get both of them for less than the price of Book 2, so you might as well pick up both.
I grab bars. Hammer.
And that game is absolutely adorable, wonderful, absolutely great use of a VR perspective. You've got you as the reader, which is interacting with Quill, who's a little mouse character that you're also in control of, and kind of going back and forth between them. I've spoken about Book 1 before, but as I said, it was a graphically impressive game on the PSVR, one of my favorite games. Book 2 has sort of taken those ideas and gone on and sort of done a bit more of the same, but added a little bit more to it as well. And it looks even more graphically impressive on the PSVR 2. I highly recommend both of them. Also, the patch came out for the Dark Anthology Switchback VR, so I've been playing a bit more of that. When it first came out, there was a lot of complaints about it looking not as graphically nice as people were expecting, and it didn't use foveated rendering, and it looked a bit boggy, which in a game with fog already in it was possibly a bit bad. I didn't suffer possibly as much as other people, but have to say it's really nice going in and actually seeing it in much more crystal clear graphics. It's still not graphically the most impressive game in some areas, I'd say, especially the kind of intro and cutscene bits still look a bit lacking. But they haven't just gone and made it more shiny and added foveated rendering. They've actually changed like how much blood there is in places and the effects on the blood, and oil that's used in other areas of the game. So they've gone and done a graphical overhaul in not just the actual sort of clarity of it, but also in just how it looks and how it's arranged and how that looks better, and it all for the better basically. And it makes the whole game a bit less it distracts you from it being a game a bit less, so that you get sucked into it a bit more, which makes the horror hit a bit harder, I think. The only thing is it's a bit difficult to judge, because horror games, when you know what to expect, it doesn't have quite as much the same effect. But yeah, I didn't complain about it as much as some people did. I didn't have as big a problem with it, but it sounds like problems may vary depending on things, and I don't exactly know why that is. Maybe it's just different people's vision or different people's interaction with their headsets or settings or whatever. But yeah, I absolutely love the game even more than I did, and it makes it an even more worthy recommendation. So that is good. I have a question though, Mr. Dan, before we move into news as well.
Yes. Of course, yeah, go for it. Well, how can I help you?
I want to ask you, and then in a wider sense, also ask our audience some questions about this. I have noticed in the sale for the last month or so, at least, or maybe the last couple of weeks at least, Elite Dangerous, and it's the PS4 version, is down to $3.99, which sounds like a bargain.
I grabbed Tar's hammer.
I don't know.
Yes.
Is there a reason this is so drastically reduced? Are they just trying to get me in the door so that I spend lots of money on other things?
It was released in 2017.
I mean, it was out a few years ago.
That's right. I don't...
But did you buy the PS4 version, or did you have the PC version? I'm guessing you had the PC version. Right?
I've got a PC version,
right,
and I do have a HOTAS, which makes playing it a bit nicer. Have you got a HOTAS?
Right, I have a HOTAS, but I am confused, and this is the wider audience question. I have done some research on this, and I couldn't find a definite answer on whether the HOTAS is officially supported. I can see people saying you can bind buttons to make it work this way, but that put me off a little bit. Like, I if it had official support, it would give me another reason to buy it, and at $3.99, I think it's cheap enough. I just wondered if this was like a basic version of the game and they were selling you other bits and that's why they kind of got you in, or whether it was just a really good deal and they had a load of money off it because it's a bit old. So,
I mean, the add-ons that I can see on the store are just like their kind of space bucks, literal space bucks for buying customizations. I mean, to really get the most out of it, you're going to have to start delving into like online resources and guides and like that report what the market rates are for things to work out trade routes. But it has really built out a lot of stuff about just going exploring and meeting kind of NPCs. There's kind of a bit of a live game element to it now as well, where there's kind of like overarching storylines across the whole galaxy, like the Thargoids have returned and they're taking out human space stations. Yeah, they were the big bads from the original.
Do they wipe funds about Dan? That's the question.
I think they've just got one big old cloaca in the middle, mate. You know, it's a free for all. It's a free for all as far as the Thargoids are concerned. I think they may have a mouth anus. I don't. To be honest, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have a mouth anus. It's just one hole, one general purpose hole is what happens for a Thargoid.
Don't kiss them on the cloaca, basically. Yeah.
No, exactly. Never kiss anything on the cloaca, actually. That is just general good life advice.
Good life advice.
If it's got a cloaca, don't kiss it, all right? Where was I? Yes. From what I can tell on a brief bit of internet sleuthing, it should run at 60 FPS, I believe. I think. To be honest, Tim, for £4,
that's what I was thinking.
If you like your space sims...
It's been sitting in my basket for a while.
And do you know what? I think, do you know what? Bearing in mind, it's £4. It's £4. And the offer ends on the 16th of August. So we'll have another episode to report back on.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think you could take one for the team. Buy the gosh darn thing and let us know next week.
All right. Yeah.
There we go. I mean, it's quite a deep game. There's gonna be. There's
sounds
menus.
Like a lot of game for
$3.99. It is a lot of game for $3.99. I quite enjoy it. You know, there's kind of it's one of those things where you can almost roll your own adventure with it. If you want to go, just have your giggles going asteroid mining. You can do that and not even bother with space combat. If you want to go out and be a kind of a pirate hunting, swashbuckling kind of awesome guy. Other words are available to describe that in a much better way. You can do that too. I mean, I lost a lot of time to Elite Dangerous back in the day. I haven't played it for a while, but I really enjoyed my time with it. Okay. And the live game stuff they've got going on sounds quite exciting at the moment. But to get the most out of it, you might need to really get stuck into like the online guides and
that's part of my fear. I don't know
like
if I'm better just picking up a more like arcadey type of game, which might appeal to me a bit more. That's the thing that put me off, and so I might just save my money for I think Everspace 2's coming out soon.
I mean, to be honest, mate. I mean, but there's now kind of like you can kind of trundle about on the surface of planets in like kind of a rover now, discovering alien artifacts. You know, going exploring. It's a fun. You know, for £4.
Okay.
For £4, I think. I would pull the trigger on it for £4 myself.
I got a little bit until Starfield comes out, I guess. So, you know.
Well, and also, even if it doesn't work with HOTAS, actually, I remember the controller implementation being really well thought out and really well done. obviously, I think you're going to get the most out of it with the HOTAS. But at the same time, I can remember when I was playing on Xbox One, I think, it was... They really had thought quite carefully about how to make the controller work with it.
That was my other...
check it out,
my other disappointment with it is that it's got PC VR support, but not PS VR support. And I was just like,
I think that's probably because it's a PS4 version. There probably wasn't enough overhead to make it work well on the PS4. I doubt they're going to do a PS5 version.
And I think if they did, there might be an upgrade path thing. So getting it for $3.99 might be worth it because it might make access to a PS5 one.
Yeah,
I think it's been
don't
too
think
long,
they are,
and
because
they probably won't. Do a PS5 version.
Because the big remake of the game was the Odyssey expansion,
Right.
And they backtrack quite heavily on that coming out on console, is my understanding.
Oops.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Let me just double check that. No, Elite Dangerous Odyssey console versions have been canned. So there we go. But it's still a great game.
Okay.
You're not missing out that much with Odyssey. Seriously, it's fine.
Oh.
It was all a bit half-baked. So there we go. I think that is all we've done played.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for some news? Do you want to strap in?
Oh, yes. Please.
Strap in for some news, Tim.
Okay.
Strap in, wipe upwards. Let's go. Sorry, I went very Greg Wallace there for a moment. Fire up. Let's go. News, yes.
Yep.
Apparently, Armored Core 6, the previews are going very, very well for it. Now, Armored Core 6, that From Software are involved with that, aren't they?
Yes, it's their game. It's one that's been in mothballs for a few years. And I think it's always been something that they've liked and loved and something that they wanted to come back to. So I kind of like the idea of them working on a passion project. One I've been keeping an eye on for a bit. And yeah, previews came out from various different sites this week. I think I watched the IGN preview and the Kind of Funny preview. And I've seen a few of the headlines elsewhere. And there's a couple of people that are saying, well, I'm not sure, but most people seem to come away going, okay, it's really good. And I think they gave a load of people, they had a big preview event for it, which a lot of this coverage came from. I also watched Skill Up's in-depth look at this that he saw in a Australian preview event. There's also an American one, which a lot of the coverage came out of. So yeah, there's various sites that have been talking about it this week. But the general thing seems to be that they gave them a good 4 hours to get into it because it's a bit of a slow burn to get into to start with. But once you get to that point where, and they compared it to like the Bloodborne games and other things and other Souls games where you get to a point and you're like, okay, now I need to learn how to play the game. The skill check, as they sort of a few sites refer to it as. And this is the point where you need to learn how to play this game properly. And they said Armored Core very much kind of requires you to go away and think about how your mech is built. And it's not just I can pick my favorite weapons and stick with them, but you need to be, what are the best weapons for the fight that I'm doing at the moment, basically. And they showed off a fight with a absolutely giant mech that you had to kind of approach and take down by taking down its leg and then sort of taking down some of its systems.
A heckin' big mech.
Battling with its big eye, but like huge mechs and stuff like that. And I'm getting more excited for this game. I was hoping that it was shaping up in the way that it is. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to like it, but I'm now pretty keen to try it out and see if that is the case. I do like a mech game. I do like a FromSoft game. Obviously, this is a bit different, and they're saying it's a bit different from Souls-like. I'm not put off by that. In some ways, that makes me more keen on it. But
I think it's got much more of a defined mission structure, a lot more defined objectives, rather than go off and do stuff, and figure it out for yourself. So,
but they say some of the levels are quite
it's really
sprawling and quite big, and then some of the levels are really quick, like 3-minute levels that you can get through. That it sounds like if you need the resources to buy other weapons to get further in a level, you can go back to those levels and redo them quickly to sort of earn a bit more money by the sounds of things.
But I kind of quite like the fact that it's all about trying out different builds and kind of almost solving the puzzle of, right, what's the optimum way to approach this boss, where it's kind of like, I like the fact that it challenges you to be creative with your builds to kind of solve the challenges. So, I don't know if I'm going to pick up on day one, but hey, man, giant robots knocking the snot out of each other, sign me up. You know? So,
and I prefer a sci-fi setting to a fantasy setting, so that appeals to me a bit more on that basis as well. And I also think that this is a good time for them to resurrect this game. On the back of the success of Elden Ring, they have a lot of money they can invest in making this game good. And so I think for consumers, this is going to be a good time to possibly pick this game up, because they this will hopefully be the realization of everything they could be. They haven't had to rush this game out of the door on the back of previous games because that wasn't successful. Right? They could take their time with this and really make sure that it's all that it should be. So I'm expecting this to be, to really deliver on their vision, at least. Hoping that vision is something I'm interested in playing. So yeah, just thought that was worth mentioning this week.
Coolio. There's some other news as well, Tim, you'd be pleased to hear. These are pretty quick. Some of them have a lot of links to Twitter, which, by the way, just moment of silence for Twitter.
Oh.
It's now x.com. I mean, seriously.
It's an X website for sure, that's for sure.
Whoa. I mean, look, Elon, leave it out, mate.
Innit? Just because you haven't got over your ex doesn't mean all of us have to. But hey.
Exactly. Look, you're never going to be the Bond villain you want to be. All right, just deal with it.
He's a poor man's.
You're not going to be a Bond villain. So,
Drux, who was the villain in Moonraker?
Yeah,
was it Drake? Drux, Drake, something like that.
What? I think Tim's having a stroke. Let's move on. So there was tweets from the developer of Quantum Error,
Drax,
which is a forthcoming kind of horror FPS. Yes, good, well done. Quantum Error is an upcoming horror FPS for the PlayStation. It was originally slated to be coming out on PS4 and PS5. However, Team Kill have announced that it will only be out on PS5. And I don't think that's that surprising.
No.
Guess what? After hitting, a silky smooth 60 FPS on PS5, turns out they're having real trouble to make it all work on the PS4 to an acceptable standard. I think now, how many, PS5 is what, nearly 2 years old now?
Yeah. And they have announced this week that they've sold 40 million of them. So it's not like, there isn't an audience out there for you to sell just on PS5.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to call time on, feature parity between PS4 and PS5. And in fact, with things like Horizon Forbidden West's expansion, actually they cited the fact that the PS4 was holding some of the features back, which is why the first expansion was PS5 only. So hey, it is what it is.
I think we're going to see this being an ever-increasing thing, and it's one of my concerns with Armoured 6, actually, just going back to that for a second, just because that is also targeting PS4 and Xbox One, and I worried how much that is harming how good the game could be if it was just targeting new consoles. But yeah, we'll see.
Yep, I'm with you, fella. I'm with you. It kind of feels like with Armored Core 6, it visually feels like it's pulling its punches a little bit. But hey, I think, we're going to see that be more of a thing going forward. Tim, do you like playing Zelda when you're not playing Zelda?
I mean, no, but that's just me. Most of the rest of the world do.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you hate fun. We've discovered that. Immortals Fenyx Rising, that Zelda-like from Ubisoft. Bad news! It's had its sequel cancelled.
Oh.
By Ubisoft, citing the fact they were finding it difficult to establish it as an IP. And I think this was Ubisoft Quebec were developing it, I believe. So I think they kind of released them from from Assassin's Creed related projects.
Right.
Turns out, I'm all for, good for Ubisoft trying something new, but it didn't do as what I think their benchmark is. Well, it's got to do at least as well as an Assassin's Creed game, and guess what? It didn't so much. So yeah, I know it had mixed reviews, but there were some real fans of it. But it's always a shame that when something that clearly a lot of love and effort's been poured into doesn't come.
I don't know about you. I
fruition.
really liked the look of this before it came out, and I think it just came out at a bad time because I'd never even considered picking it up at the time. I can't remember what came out at a similar time to it, but I just think it came out at a particularly bad time for me because there was other things I was interested in. But I think this is just pulling away a bit soon. Like, we've got quite strong evidence, and I'd say this is more the case in games than it is in movies, that a lot of games don't really find their identity and hit their stride until they've had a revision, until they're made for the second time. Like, you see a lot of games not really get fully up to speed until the second game. Like, there's quite a lot of cases of that. The one that really hits the mind for me is Mass Effect 2 was a significantly better game than Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 1 was great and had some really good elements to it, but they've gone back and remade Mass Effect 1 because it wasn't quite as good as Mass Effect 2 and 3, possibly. And I think, there's a lot more evidence on other games you could mention. And maybe that's a good topic for our audience members to chime in on this week. What is a good sequel that you think didn't hit its stride until maybe even the second or third iteration of a game that proves that you probably shouldn't cancel a game until it's had at least, one more go, basically. Otherwise, you're not really giving it a fair chance, in my opinion. But see if our audience agrees.
It's difficult, though. I mean, at the end of the day, they're businesses, aren't they? And they're just going to be looking at, is this being a commercial success, sadly? I mean, I think the problem with Immortals Fenyx Rising, though, was that it was a pretty generic Zelda-like, I think. It really didn't.
I mean,
whilst people I know did enjoy the game, I always felt that, for all the fun it looked like it did really kind of feel like it was like the slightly hokey knockoff bootleg version of Zelda. I don't think it ever really kind of quite.
I know, but I think giving a second chance, I think they'd be better off pumping money into giving this a second chance than pumping more money into Skull and Bones for another 20 years. You know what I mean? And
there's clearly someone in the C-suite really loves that project and wants to make it happen no matter what. Last bit of news, Tim.
Yep.
The confusingly named sequel to Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat 1, has had some DLC fighters revealed. These are the official reveal of some fighters by NetherRealm Studios, but there are some other rumors as well. We'll go through the ones that NetherRealm have confirmed, and this is kind of a lot of kind of crossover stuff. So the boys Homelander, the Suicide Squad's Peacemaker, and Invincible's Omni-Man are all going to be included in the first bit of DLC for Mortal Kombat 1. And they're also going to be joined by some good old traditional MK folk. That's Mortal Kombat, not Milton Keynes. Quan Chi, Ermac, Takeda, Lee May, Tanya, and Baraka. Him of the extra pointy teeth. Turkey. No, not Obama. The really extreme turkey teeth. Reject-looking Baraka, that kind of guy. But there has been additional rumors that some other fighters may feature. It's not that surprising considering that. Well, they may. It is not being confirmed as yet. But there may be some other characters from like the Warner Brothers stables. Which is not surprising, considering that Warner Brothers own, not only the studios that make Mortal Kombat, but also a lot of the DC franchises as well. So there's rumors like Harley Quinn is going to be a future DLC character as well. So it'd be interesting to see where they go.
Right, this is
those crossovers.
Good and bad news. It's good that these characters are coming because especially the crossover ones, I think are quite exciting. They're quite nice additions. I can see them working well. The only thing is, between the announcement of those three and the rumors of the DC characters, am I correct in saying we haven't had one of their DC fighting games in between Mortal Kombats this time, and it's the first time that hasn't happened for a bit?
Well, it depends if you want to include that kind of Warner Brothers, Smash Brothers wannabe.
No.
In
multiverses that we keep on forgetting the name of.
Multiverses.
But yeah, no, I don't include that. But what I'm saying is the actual ones developed by NetherRealm, they make. I really
front to back, Tim.
I think
always in the NetherRealm, front to back.
Always in the NetherRealm,
always front to back for the NetherRealm.
Especially if you're finishing. But yeah, like
yeah, exactly.
Get over here.
I'm not sure about that one, Tim.
Yeah. Anyway, but
move on. Nothing to see here.
What I'm saying is, I think I've come to a point where I actually enjoy those DC games more than I enjoy a straight up Mortal Kombat. And so I'm sad if this is a sign that we're not getting another one of those games anytime soon. If that does tend to be the case, then fine. If the next game in the cycle is another one of those DC crossover games, I'd be happier than if we get another Mortal Kombat game again, I think. But yeah, this hints at the fact that that might not be the case, and that's my only downside. Also, I don't know about you, I feel funny about this. Makes me less willing to buy the game on day one because I'm like, well, I'll wait until there's a Game of the Year edition with all the characters actually involved. And I keep on doing that with Mortal Kombat games and then not buying them. I did that with the last one. And I don't like that. I don't like them announcing DLC characters before the actual game's out. I guess it's better to do that in a way than it is to, just reveal that they're not in the game, which is a weird thing anyway. I don't know which one I prefer, but I still... This leaves a bad taste in my mouth, just announcing DLC characters before the game's even out.
Yeah.
But
well, it is so the initial version, as Tim's positioning it, of Mortal Kombat 1 is, of course, out September 19th. And I'm sure they will be adding all of the characters through DLC in exchange for some tasty money that you have currently. So that's your lot. That's all the news. It's all we done played. And really, looking at the clock, we should start thinking about getting out of here. But not before we do certain things. Those certain things include me imploring you to go to tpublic.com/store/BRB, buying some sweet merch. Some of it has my face on it. Those are the best.
Don't have to buy Dan's
face on that.
Do not have to buy Dan's face.
You do things with my
BRB
face.
BRB does not require you to buy Dan's face.
No, well, but it's nice if you do. tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Next we have Tuesday, and Tuesday looks like it's twisting my melon, man. What's going on?
Not that Bez, as I had to tell people this week.
Not that Bez.
But not that Bez.
Different Bez.
Is coming to join us as a
There's
very
only one Bez, surely.
Special guest this week.
Bez is coming. Is he bringing his maracas?
No, unfortunately not. But he is. She is bringing some quality games. And anyone that doesn't know, there's a company called
Bez.
Stuff by Bez, and that's why we're making Bez type references. But it is not Bez from the Happy Mondays. It is another very happy Bez, though. So she'll be joining us, coming along with some of her games, bringing them along. There's a company called, as I said, Stuff by Bez.
More Tabletop Tuesdays and Happy Mondays. Am I right?
Awesome little games that are fun to play. And we're bringing some new stuff along. 1st of August is International Bez Day, as she has declared generally. It's been a thing that we've helped celebrate on previous years. Not with the lockdown, we haven't done it for a while, but then I think we did one last year. And this is the first time, for as far as I am aware, that we've been able to do one on International Bez Day itself, which is the 1st of August. So come down and join us. You can win a copy of a game just by playing it that evening. Bez tends to give away a few things. You can also possibly buy some of her games at a discount price on the day as well. So,
fantastic.
It's a good day to come along. We will have multiples of their games to play. We already have some of their games in the bar anyway. Yogi is one of their games. We've got various of the games in there, and we'll have extra ones on the night. If you're interested in joining us, you can find more details on the top left-hand corner of Big Red Barrel, or you can join the over 2,000 members of our meetup group. Search meetup.com for Tabletop Tuesday. Also, this week just gone, we were supposed to have a special guest that we had to reschedule for later this month, or later in August, because of train strike shenanigans, which didn't end up going on, but still, was probably right to rearrange. But we ended up with a very special guest anyway, because
previous
alumni of BRB UK, Mr. John Brady, joined us for this week's Tabletop Tuesday,
What?
which is really nice.
I hear he has returned to civilization.
He hasn't.
I've heard rumours.
He's moved down to London, so we
Wow.
might be seeing more of him at Tabletop Tuesdays in future.
Nice.
I can't promise he'll make an appearance if you come to Tabletop Tuesday.
I'm guessing, being the beardy hipster that he is, he's living somewhere in the East End.
He's not actually. He's living. I can't remember where it is. Somewhere near Kensington. Not quite as posh as Kensington.
Oh, he's doing all right for himself.
But somewhere near there. Well, it's near where he's working, so that kind of makes sense.
Fair enough.
I want to say Shepherd's Bush. Does that
Fair
sound
enough.
right? That sounds possibly right.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Hello, Brady.
Let's go with that.
Welcome
but
back.
Yeah, welcome
back, civilization.
to London, sir. It's very nice to have it. I didn't know that he was actually coming along, so it was a real nice surprise. Got to play some games with him as well, so that was really good. Can't promise that Brady will be there next week or weeks going forward, but he does say he will be returning to Tabletop Tuesdays in the future. So if you want to meet Mr. John Brady, and I'm not good enough for you to meet, but you'd like to meet a Scottish previous host of this show, then you can come along and join him and possibly see him on future Tabletop Tuesdays. So there you go. That was nice. But nice to see you, John. Nice to see you.
So we have the superior Bez, who she's going to be extolling the virtues of Tabletop Tuesdays rather than plain old middle-aged Bez with his mouldy old maracas, who purports the advantages of a happy Monday. So there we go. Good times to be had by all.
Yes.
Indeed. So, I think we should wrap the show up.
I think we should.
But you should go to www.bigredbarrel.com. You should also go to X or Twitter or whatever the heck it is.
No, don't do that.
Follow at Big Red Barrel. You should go to Facebook, find Big Red Barrel there, and on Threads if that's still a thing. Sure, why not?
That seems to be picking up.
You can view the video version of this audio podcast. I know, right? Blows my mind every week by going to YouTube on Big Red Barrel TV. We also have a Discord. All of the links are below. Do come and say hello there. There's often stuff going on. We haven't had a chance to go through questions this week, but we will do so when Mr. Coleman rejoins us. I feel bad doing questions without Coleman.
Yeah.
So
we need Coleman on.
And leave us a review on the podcast profferer, or the podcast proffering service of your choice. Do leave us a review. We always like to see people saying what they think. It's always fun.
Yeah.
So
well, sometimes.
Right?
Most of them.
Sometimes.
When they're being nice.
Sometimes. Yeah, unless it's Tim.
Most people are nice about
for
it.
For a 15-hour tirade about menus. That makes me sad. Anyway, we're going to go because we have talked for long enough. Despite there only being two of us, we've nearly filled an hour. So we are going to give you your brain and your ears back. But not before I have reminded you that I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
And no one has been Chaos.
Oh.
No one. This week, no one. No chaos.
Insert chaos
in
here.
its own way.
Hi.
Insert chaos. Yes. Yes, do that. Sounds painful. Front to back. Remember that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening. We'll all be back next week. And until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
And your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
Dennis Nedry's from Jurassic Park, but I couldn't get it delivered in time. So I got the next best thing, which is Magnum PI's shirt. Tom Selleck's shirt from the hit TV show.
Does he want it back?
No, it's mine now. It doesn't fit him anymore.
Oh,
He's